Hello, everyone, and welcome back to, I believe this is the 8th episode of the new adventures of K-Man and Spence. I am, of course, Spencer Bennett. We took another week off. We are in college. It was midterm season. It happens, guys. Roll with the punches. We're hanging out. But yeah, that's K-Man to my left, Kieran Collins.
I just want to say,
Kieran.
I feel like it's tradition at this point that the episode starts with you going, I think it's episode 8. I think.
It's one of those episodes.
I think we should keep it that way. I don't think we should ever actually truly know what episode we're on. Just
The thing is, I totally thought about looking it up, and then I just didn't because I was assembling the show sheet. So there's a little behind-the-scenes knowledge for you folks. Anyways, Kieran, let's start the show off with a bang, how we always do. What have you been reading this week? What collected volumes, omnibuses, whatever the hell you've been reading? There it is.
There it is.
The answer to my question already. It is Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, your manga you've been going into lately. Give us your thoughts. I'm still only halfway through volume 1. I have not held up my end of the bargain of reading that, unfortunately. But you tell us what you think. If you need to go into spoilers, you can. I'll be okay. But
you'll be okay. But also, I'll be light on the spoilers. I'm just gonna say about anime versus manga.
Sure.
I watched the anime for this whole thing. I've already on this podcast said how great Demon Slayer is. It's still great. It's still just as great. I love the author. He writes little letters at the beginning of every single volume saying thank you so much for continuing to read. And in one case, there's a character who I've shown you before, Spencer. I'm forgetting his name, and I'm annoyed at myself I'm forgetting his name, but he basically walks around with a boar head on his face all the time. He's got this giant boar mask.
Got it.
There was an example in one of the recent volumes I read recently where the author actually wrote a letter of apology to the fans of the manga because he revealed his face in some advertisement or some subsidiary story before revealing the face in the actual manga. And this dude he's such a homie. He's just great. He's so humble. He has Demon Slayer is the biggest manga in Japan, definitely in the world.
Yeah, I mean it's big as heck right now.
Yeah, it's huge, but the dude is still so humble. So it's a huge industry obviously and stuff, but I love the idea of supporting the individual, and I like that they still kind of keep that present in it. But every character is kick-ass. I love the anime. The manga is even better than the anime. I'm a very, very big fan. Shout out to damn it, I had his name earlier in the show. The dude with the
writer?
Zenitsu. I think his name is Zenitsu. I think that's his name. He's really cool. And when Spencer gets to the part where he shows up properly for the first time, Spencer's going to be a really big fan of Zenitsu's.
I'm sure we'll have a much more in-depth conversation about Zenitsu at that point. But
yes, but it's great. It continues to be fantastic. I find myself recently a lot more drawn towards manga than comic books. But that's cool. That's part of the process. I'm sure I'll grow in and out of that phase, but it's cool. Yeah.
What volume are you on now?
I finished 4. I usually just sit and read it all in one go. Sometimes I try to read the first chapter late at night, and then I'm half asleep, and I'm okay, I'll just read the rest tomorrow. Then I'll wake up in the morning and just plow through a whole bunch of it. My favorite character, I forget what her name is even, but this is her. She's a butterfly samurai.
My favorite character, I don't know her name.
I forget her name, but she's my favorite, and she just made her first appearance in the manga. And in this, I know because I've seen the anime that in this arc I'm on right now, that's her proper introduction as a character. So I'm very excited. It's all very good stuff. It gets better and better as it goes along. They've also announced a movie, or it was announced a while ago, but they've put in a release date in the US for the movie as February.
I thought it was already in theaters.
In Japan, yes.
Oh, okay.
But there's I think they do subtitles just for accessibility reasons. So I think if you're actually in Japan, you can see it with subtitles, but it's also only a theatrical release. And speaking from experience, anime with subtitles in the city of Tokyo is a very hard thing to find on the big screen. So it won't get its proper release till 2021. But that's also fine because I'm enjoying catching up on the manga.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying what I've read so far. It's just have a million and one things to do, and it has slipped under the cracks. I'm currently reading. I was reading like 4 graphic novels at the same time. I finished 2 of them, which I'll talk about right now. But the 2 I'm still working on are the first volume of Scott Pilgrim and then Demon Slayer, which I think we talked about in the last show. But still working on it, folks. I'm disappointing. I know.
It's
But
fine. We're all busy.
We're all
getting
human
through it.
beings.
Like
Yeah.
we said at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
That's always our intro. Life goes on.
Life goes on, indeed.
Yeah.
But one of the graphic novels I guess some context. We've been going to Barnes & Noble for months and getting different collected editions because they just have a pretty big selection. Each store seems to have its own kind of vibe of what comic books they carry and stuff. And we've enjoyed that quite a bit. And just going to the bookstore has been an activity for us during COVID, masking up with sanitizer and walking through the bookstore is just a day adventure, really. So we've been buying comic books for months, and we keep putting off buying a membership. But eventually one day you just cracked and you're like, hey, I know you're at the mall right now. Just go and do it. And so I did it. But when you do that, you get like 20% off like that day of purchasing things. So I knew I had to buy more graphic novels, even if my funds weren't really on my side in that decision. I bought all those Demon Slayers for Kieran, 3 through 6. And then I picked up something that I've been meaning to read for a while, which is Grant Morrison's Wonder Woman Earth 1. Wonder Woman is a character that I am embarrassed of my lack of reading because I like the character so much. And I mean, I've read tons of crossovers with her in it, but any solo Wonder Woman stories, I'm like disgustingly low on my reading of them. So I saw it and I said, you know what? I heard that one's good. Obviously, Grant Morrison is the man. So I'm going to read it. And I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Wonder Woman is gay. And I really thought that was it just was really well done. I enjoyed that a lot. It makes perfect sense. And I liked that they almost built it into the Amazonian lore of like people were like made to be with each other. Mm-hmm. There is like the whole origin where Wonder Woman was made of clay, and then they kind of like disprove that, and she's actually Queen Hippolyta, and Hercules is a daughter in this. So that's a spoiler for you, but sorry.
Oh, cool. I mean, that's cool.
Wonder Woman has one of those origins that feels like it's always shifting around. It depends which one you read, which is kind of cool. It's not like a Batman where it's so cut and dry. It's Joe Chill and the parents. Like there's no leeway there. You can play with who Joe Chill was, and a lot of different authors do, but it's cut and dry. Superman, last son of Krypton, landed in Kansas. But Wonder Woman kind of has that leeway. So I enjoyed that mythology of it quite a bit. There's a whole scene where they like reenact Hercules coming to Themyscira as like almost like an annual festivity, and I thought that was really fun. The art's really cool. Yannick Paquette, I probably ruined that, and Nathan Fairbairn did the art, and very cool stuff. But yeah, this is just volume 1. I'm definitely going to pick up volume 2 because I enjoyed it a lot. But
what's Hercules like in the DC universe?
Really muscular, wearing animal skins, like a total like toxic masculinity asshole.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's definitely like a villain in this for sure.
Yeah, because that's a weird one. They also have Hercules in Marvel too.
Yeah. I think those are public domain characters, so they
they are. They
definitely
are. But they're both like superheroized, which is a strange take to do for both.
Yeah, in this he's a total douche, and I liked that take too. But yeah, this whole Steve Trevor is black in this too, which I thought was really cool. It's much more like World War II-y, kind of like Red Tails kind of thing.
Yeah, it's Elseworld, so
yeah, exactly. It's its own thing. It's supposed to be its own origin tale, but basic story is basically the story of Wonder Woman, the movie. She leaves Themyscira with Steve, comes back. Themyscira is much more like angry that she went to the world of man. Like it's like forbidden.
Yeah,
it's not like frowned upon as in the movies.
From my understanding, this isn't the first. It's not the first story in this universe, right? Isn't it like I think they did a Teen Titans one or something like New Earth. I feel like I've heard of that before.
Earth 1 is its own line of just origin stories. Superman Earth 1 is like a huge inspiration for Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, because Superman's kind of angry in it. And then Batman Earth 1 was Jeff Johns, and that's supposed to be very good, but I haven't read that. So I might just read the Earth 1 line because I did enjoy this quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I love
Green Lantern Earth 1. I think you own Earth 1 Green Lantern.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Origins? Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So there's that, and then
so I have read Earth 1. Then there you go, because I read that before I even knew what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other one I picked up was Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman: The Last Night on Earth, which I've been wanting to read since I saw an ad for it in an issue one day. It was running as as a monthly issue during the time when you and I weren't too deep into the comics world, but
yeah,
saw the collected edition going on sale, and I was like, that looks incredible. Why is Batman dressed like Mad Max holding the Joker's head in a lantern?
Yeah.
and it was cool.
Give away the first issue. I'm curious. Like what's up with him carrying the Joker head? If that's
Do you want to know what's going on?
Is it only a spoiler for issue 1, or is it a spoiler for
I mean, I can tell you it's like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, just tell me. I'm interested.
They tell you, I guess, pretty early on in the book what's going on. So basically, it opens with it opens with Bruce Wayne waking up in Arkham Asylum, and Alfred is like, "Oh, Master Bruce, you've been in a coma for years, and while you've been in this hospital, you went insane and your parents died, and you've been making up these stories that you're Batman and that the Doctor is the Joker." And it's almost like it opens up, and you're like, "Oh my God." They're fully going with like basically he's been hallucinating his whole life because Bruce Wayne's schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And the first issue is kind of like that. And then like midway through or at the end of the first issue, Bruce like says to Alfred, he goes, "I know something's wrong. I know I didn't make all this up." And Alfred like shows him his straight jacket where he drew like a bat on. He goes, "This is Batman, Bruce. Batman never was a thing." And then Bruce, I don't forget what it is, but he figures something out wrong. And then the middle of the second issue, he like confronts Alfred. He's like, "So how'd you build the simulation?" And Alfred's like, "Damn it." And then I remember what it is now. Bruce grabs Alfred and feels his pulse, and Alfred looks way young, but his pulse is that of an old person. And so Alfred like turns the simulation off, and Bruce Wayne in this is like Bruce Wayne, there's a whole apocalypse, like all the heroes died basically. Bruce Wayne created a machine that would basically make a clone of himself for every generation. So there would be a Batman for every generation going forward in this apocalyptic world. So the Bruce Wayne you follow in this is like a reincarnated Bruce Wayne, basically, for like a young Bruce Wayne in like this post-apocalyptic future. And the real Bruce Wayne died. And then you read the story from there on. So it's the post-apocalypse. He has Joker's head in the lantern. He's like basically like Batman's henchman. There's a lot of Joker is honestly very funny in it. Enjoyed that a lot. Wonder Woman's in it. She survived. So I'm not going to give away too much from there because the story's cool and it's got a really interesting twist. But it wasn't my favorite Scott Snyder story. Obviously, I mean, Court of Owls is pretty untouchable, but it's fun. It's very fun. I like Elseworld stuff a lot, so it's entertaining in that regard. But there were parts that I thought were slower than others. I do think they milk the like suspense of what's actually going on for a long time. What I told you is very like the first 20 pages. You learn all that.
Yeah.
But they kind of like.
How's the art?
Oh, the art's really cool. It's very neon, which is interesting. I mean, the cover is like purple and green or pink and green. It's very like Mad Maxy, very crazy visuals.
Yeah. I feel like
what I always thought it was.
Like that. Yeah, and I feel like the art for a series like that's gonna make or break it. You know?
Yeah, and it was cool. I definitely think you should read it for sure. It's Snyder and Capullo. It's an iconic duo in terms of like Batman runs. So, the ending is cool. But it's good. It didn't like blow my mind, but I enjoyed it. It was a fun little excursion.
It reminds me, I haven't read Old Man Logan, but I've read Old Man Quill, which is like the Star-Lord one.
I would definitely say it's comparable to a story like that.
Yeah, it's cool because those are also post-apocalyptic and stuff, and like the galaxy.
But like the twist on it is that this is like a young Bruce Wayne who's basically been born into this world of insanity.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah, he's like in his early, like mid-20s. Like Bruce built a machine that basically like spit out a young Bruce Wayne.
Oh, that's
like cool. Had all his knowledge. It's kind of like, have you ever read like teleportation philosophy? Whereas like a teleporter like creates a new you basically with all your memories, but it's like not you.
Like same.
Yeah. And that's the idea of what Bruce Wayne built. It's kind of science fiction-y in that regard. So it is cool. There's a lot of cool like concepts in it for sure. I definitely think you might like it more than I did, even though like I think it's solid and I would give it like a 7 out of 10. But it didn't like rock my entire world. I did read it in like one sitting, which I love
sci-fi stuff, so it sounds right up my alley.
You might be a big fan, but yes, Batman Last Night on Earth was cool. Wonder Woman Earth 1 blew me away, and the art, and it's very cool, and the way they like the panels kind of flow into each other. There's definitely like a very distinct style to it.
Yeah,
so I like that a lot too. But that's what we've been reading this week, folks. A little long-winded talking about Last Night on Earth, but there's a lot to talk about with that book.
No, it's cool. I mean, I'm genuinely very fascinated to hear about this. I want to read it.
Definitely. I mean, you can grab it anytime. But we're going to jump into our movie news, which is not – it's like not extensive, but it's kind of crazy. So the first bit of news, which if you follow me on any social media, which you should, at Spencer Bennett 7 on Twitter, Spencer J. Bennett on Instagram, you saw me talk about this because I was commissioned to write an article for it for that hashtag show, which is a geek publication that I write for on the internet. But none other than Jared Leto tattooed, grilled-wearing Joker is going to show up in the Snyder Cut of Justice League, which is officially now confirmed titled Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
So we don't know what capacity this will be in, whether it'll be a cameo, a substantial role, whatever. But Jared Leto will don the Joker look yet again. And besides the news that he's coming back, which is exciting, because you and I both have a very similar take on him. Where it's
I'm so fucking ready. I'm so ready.
I just think whether you liked his design or not is its own thing. The design is polarizing. It just is. Mm-hmm. It didn't bother me. I mean, I agree with everyone. Like the damage tattoo, yeah, it's kind of overkill, whatever. But I fully think that we just didn't get enough of him to even judge a performance. Like I liked some of the scenes, but it felt very chopped. From what all accounts, I mean, him and Ayer have like hours of footage of him and Joker. The original cut of Suicide Squad, Joker has a very significant role, and he's like working with Enchantress, and he's basically pulling strings. He just wants Harley, so he's kind of like throwing a screw into the plot, which is it. That's Joker-y stuff. He's anarchy.
And on the tattoos, right?
Yeah.
The criticism the tattoos get, like the older, I remember at the time being like, oh, that's cool. And I like they're doing a different take because it's a character that's been done so many times.
Sure.
But even to add to that, the point that I've kind of come to realize recently when it comes to the Joker and tattoos is that like, he's a crazy man. He has no real care for his physical being, you know, like he's all about sort of the aura and being a larger than life, right? It's not about his physical form at all.
Totally.
So like getting random chaotic tattoos all over yourself, that seems like something a modern Joker would do.
I always thought that it was what everyone says whenever they do a new iteration of a character is you got to make it your own. You got to do differently, especially on the heels of Heath Ledger, which was like, for most people, is like the conclusive Joker performance. Like it doesn't get better than that. They did something radically different and they got so much hate for it. And like, I get it's a polarizing look. It's like if Joker was a SoundCloud rapper. It's kind of how he looks. And it is silly, but also like Joker is not is not a subtle guy. Like his whole existence is like on the nose and insane. So yeah, like you could argue the damage tattoo is a lot. Yeah, but also like if the Joker existed right now and like was involved in like hip hop and like that kind of culture, then he would look like that.
And they edited out like a lot of Jared Leto's scenes in that movie, but the ones we did see were very consistent with that look. Like the part with Logic. No, it's not Logic. Who was it? What's his name?
Common.
The guy. Common. It was Common.
Yeah.
Common with like the Harley Quinn scene, right? Which was a weird scene, but at the same time, if it was edited properly, like that's a very character scene for the Joker. The way he's so weird, and he has the smiley face on his hand, and he goes like this, and it looks really fucking sinister when he does it. I mean, know
it just was edited all to hell.
Yeah,
and random purple flashes of light, and it's just like garbage. Edited.
And all the darkness was edited out of it as soon as that Comic-Con trailer came out, you know, because people liked it, and so they obviously wanted to change everything, and we all know how colossal the fuck up that was. But I believe in my heart of hearts that the original script and the original idea for the performance was solid, and so I'm really excited for this. This is big news, and I hope they continue with Jared Leto Joker, because the guy. One thing that's important to say is that Jared Leto himself is apparently a schmuck and not the best dude in the world. So like that's an aspect of it too, but at the same time, like I want to see more of this character. I don't know if that probably makes me pretty selfish, but at the same time, like it's Hollywood. I'm not going to do anything about it.
I think regardless of that, he got fully screwed over by Warner Brothers, like fully given the shaft, especially when they went ahead and made the movie with Joaquin. And he was like vocally pissed about it. So he was like, I literally like, first of all, you cut me out of this movie, basically. You cut me up so poorly that my performance looks disjointed and bizarre, frankly. And now you're just like telling me like it was a whole big mess. But he always said like he would come back to the character. I think Zack Snyder's a better director than David Ayer, in my opinion. So I'm really interested to see what Zack can get out of this performance.
You got to see Fury though, dude. Like I'm not gonna say like they're both great. That's what I'll say.
Have you seen Bright though? Bright's pretty awful.
That's the thing is that David Ayer gets fucked over a lot by studios in my experience. But Fury is a really stand-up movie, and he did stuff before Fury to like be able to get Fury. because that's like a Brad Pitt movie, right? So that's pretty big budget.
Mhm.
But he's a solid dude. I
I
think
don't have any issue with him, and I really want to see the director's cut. I just obviously Man of Steel is like one of my favorite films ever, so I'm gonna say Zack Snyder's a better director.
I think he's one of those guys. I think that he did Fury, and there was a whole lot of hype behind that. And then I think he did Suicide Squad, and his career just went down the toilet, and that's why he ended up doing Bright.
Well,
Because
Suicide Squad, he tweeted going off of the Leto news, which is where I kind of wanted to segue. Is David Ayer first of all like tweeted like clapping and like very excited to see Jared back in the role, but he also tweeted like 2 or 3 days ago that he finally got his hands on his original cut. And he tweets like, for years I beat myself up. I thought I like shit the bed. He goes, nope, I just watched my original cut. It's fire. And people are like, oh my God, like shut up. Like no one want, like all these assholes on Twitter who are like memeing him. I'm like, guys, it's very similar to what happened to Zack Snyder. Not nearly as like horrific and traumatic as like using your daughter's death as like a way to get you off a movie.
Yeah.
Horrible, shady stuff. But Ayer got very fucked in terms of just, pardon my French, in terms of just the cutting of his film. Like his original movie, that first trailer that came out, that's super creepy and unsettling, and Joker at the end is like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to hurt you really bad. He's like sadistic and weird looking.
Yeah.
And then you get like the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer and it was over. Like they completely shifted the movie. The movie is supposed to look like that first trailer. It's supposed to be dark and creepy and like kind of like grimy and gritty. And that's why Joker looks like that. Like they're supposed to be kind of seedy. This universe they were going for was grim. It was very not grounded, but it was trying to bring it to a modern aesthetic. And in modern times, like things aren't wonderful. Criminals are kind of gross looking.
It was also a movie that was written and designed to make sense, which the final part of the movie just did not.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I still want to see the Ayer cut quite badly. And I think that Leto has always gotten a bad rap for this performance. And I honestly like the design enough. I have a bunch of figures of it because it's so polarizing. So I'm here for it, and I'm here for the Ayer cut. Let's see it. I think this bodes well for the Ayer cut, especially if the Snyder cut comes out and people are like, oh, Leto's actually good and we were wrong. That could be a full 180.
And it's going to be the perfect storm because it'll be that and it'll be the Suicide Squad, which we are already mostly positive is going to be like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. So, you know, people are going to want more Suicide Squad. And
totally.
Like if you advertise to them, say, hey, remember this movie from I don't know, like 5-6 years ago now. And it's like, hey, remember that movie that you thought was going to be really good and then it was really bad? Here, we fixed it, you know? Like that's an offer a lot of people wouldn't be able to refute because that is hardly ever done in the industry. So the fact that they're doing it with not just Justice League now, but potentially Suicide Squad, that's cool. They've literally just hit the point where they're like, we'll do anything, you know? And I'm 110% all for that.
Yeah, I'm on board. I would like to see it. But yeah, we're both very optimistic about Jared Leto's return to this character. In other DC news, which is our final DC news topic, this was kind of random, but the Batman is back to filming in the streets of London. Actually, I think it's Chicago. I'm wrong. But they're filming. I think they're filming in Chicago now.
It was London originally.
Yeah, and then I think they're getting pickups, like outdoor pickups in Chicago. I think what Matt Reeves said is he's like blending a bunch of cities together for Gotham.
Yeah, they're blending a bunch of cities. I think there was also a bit of, maybe it was last week or something, but I think I remember seeing some street shooting from Liverpool or something.
So maybe it's Liverpool and I'm wrong. Maybe I'm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be Chicago too, but
it was outskirts of.
I thought they were in England. I thought they were staying in England.
Well, there was some outdoor shooting, and it's there's a Halloween. The people are dressed up as Halloween because it's Batman. It was supposed to come out in October. And
the long Halloween, yeah.
Like Long Halloween has been a much talked about reference for this movie, but there were people, like extras, but like they were dressed the way they were supposed to by the director and the story team, dressed as Superman and Wonder Woman.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of talk of, do they exist in this universe? In the Reeves verse, is there going to be a version of Superman and Wonder Woman? We may not see them, but they exist in some capacity.
That's confirmation right there. Yeah, they got it.
Well, there's an interesting theory I stumbled across that is, what if in this universe they're fictionalized? And then when they rewrite the DC history and Batman and Robert Pattinson's Batman shows up in the DCEU and actually interacts with Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, and he's like, this is weird because you guys are fake in my world. And that could almost be like a weird multiverse thing. That could be an interesting scene. But I don't know. There's not much else to say about it other than that was seen on set. People dressed as those two characters.
I think this is just my speculation. I think like that sounds a little bit like fan theories.
Yeah.
If they had the opportunity with the success of the Batman to hint that other superheroes exist in this universe, and if the Batman is a raging success, then they make the Batman version of Superman or the Batman version of Wonder Woman. They're at the end of the day, they're still looking at their wallets, so they're gonna see that opportunity and try to capitalize on it. I think that's cool. I think that's a cool idea to have them exist, or even it would be odd if Batman existed but like the other two were fictionalized.
Well, you know what they did with the original X-Men films is that the comics existed, but the characters were like, well, those are just.
It took years and years for them to actually do that, though. I think Logan was the only time that actually happened.
Yeah, he was like fairy tales and like through it.
That's a good point, but that's a good counter to what I was saying, because Logan is very comparable to the Batman.
Yeah.
So they could be doing that for sure.
I mean, we'll see, but that's just a weird little tidbit.
A quick thing I saw too. I'm not sure if this was. It was sometime in the last week, I think. But I saw a tweet. There was somebody had taken like a screenshot of the part in the Batman trailer right before he beats the shit out of that guy, when all of the guys in the Joker makeup are kind of staring at him horrified.
Yeah.
And there was one of the extras that somebody zoomed in on, and they're like, "Wow, this acting for an extra is really, really good," right? And then the extra who was in that scene, or the extra, he replied to it and he said, "Oh, thanks, yeah, that's me." And then in parentheses, he was like, "I actually have a speaking role in the movie." Huh. And then like a shh, like kind of thing, right? So that's a cool tidbit. Like he might get cut or whatever, but it's kind of cool to know that like that's somewhat of a significant scene in the movie, and that like we're getting these stories of these background characters in it. The other thing, Peter Skarsgård on the Batman, right? I only found out this morning he was in the cast.
I didn't know he's in the movie.
He's in the movie, yeah. There's a lot of Skarsgårds. I forget which one Peter is.
There's so many.
Yeah, but he was saying Batman. He was quoted. I think it was either today or yesterday or something. He was quoted as saying that Rob Pattinson Batman is raw and unsanitized.
That is a way to put that.
Yeah, the reply to it was like, the last thing we need right now is a raw, unsanitized Batman.
Oh, Peter Skarsgård.
But I think they got some cool plans for that movie.
For sure.
The more I hear about it, the more I love it. So
it's gonna be cool. I just have to wait 2 years.
Long wait now.
Yeah.
Long wait.
In other like conjecture news, the Falcon and Winter Soldier screenwriter, one of them, is teasing an appearance from a lot of characters from early Marvel films. So people probably from the Captain America First Avenger, maybe some Winter Soldier people. I know Baron Zemo is confirmed to be in the series. So
and we're getting, what's his name? We're getting John Walker for the first.
We're getting John Walker. We're getting oh god, what's this? I have the book of what his name is. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of
U.S. agent.
That's it. Yeah, U.S. agent John Walker. And he's played by, I forget the actor's name, but it's the guy from the Planet of the Apes, the second Planet of the Apes movie. He's in a lot of things. But he's a good casting choice. He's also in. Have you seen Ingrid Goes West?
I've not.
Okay, God, I can't think of any other movies this guy's in.
Is it Jason Clarke? Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe. Let me 1 second. I'll do a very, very quick Google here.
Very quick Google search. But yeah, I mean I expect them to expand on the MCU. From what we've understood, this isn't going to be like a Daredevil or an Iron Fist or a Luke Cage, where it's kind of in the MCU but it's its own little bubble. This is fully going to interact with the whole universe as a whole. This will be like a movie where it's a chapter in that story.
His name is Wyatt Russell.
Okay. Oh, it's Kurt Russell's son.
There you go. Yeah. I believe he's the guy who's going to play.
He's in Everybody Wants Him as well. He plays the stoner.
That's right. Yeah. Same guy. Yeah.
There you go.
So that's exciting.
It sounds interesting. I'm here for it. When are we going to get the show? We don't know. So we can cut it off there. We'll go to our quick break and then talk about some of the issues we read this week and wrap it up. Welcome back to episode 8 of The New Adventures of Cayman and Spence. Episode 8 in question mark and quotations because it might not be episode 8, but whatever. We read issues this week. We read different issues than each other, which seems to be a running theme because, again, busy. But Kieran, you got to read the newest issue of Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy, which I have not yet. So be light on the spoilers, but this is your favorite title we're reading, so gush, my friend, gush.
A little disappointed actually.
Oh, that's a curveball I didn't think we were gonna get.
Not. It doesn't take away from the quality of the entire series, but this specific issue, just from a writing point of view, seems sort of like filler. It kind of felt like just. I mean, it's
a mini series, is it not?
Yeah, the next issue after this one is the finale. So they were kind of,
so
I
they
think,
just needed a story.
They were just setting up the finale the whole time, and like that's fine. But also, what actually happened in this issue didn't particularly excite me. But it doesn't take away from how great the whole series is as a whole. If I was reading this in a collected volume, it would just be a chapter to lead up to the finale, which is fine. But in this position.
There's a lot of hype, especially on your end.
Yeah,
to read the ending.
And yeah, because it has such a big twist last time around, and it kind of I don't want to spoil anything, but it doesn't exactly have the best payoff to some of its plans from last episode, if that makes sense. But it does introduces cool concepts, but it doesn't fully explore them in the way I want to, and I hope that they explore it more in the next issue, but I have a feeling they might not. Like I this isn't even a spoiler. I feel like I can just say this. The cover of the issue has Skulldigger's motorbike on it, right?
Yeah.
Which looks really cool. In the actual issue itself, he just uses it to drive from one place to another place. And it's never used in any capacity that's cool. It's literally just like he gets on it, and then at the end of the issue, like somebody gets kidnapped and he arrives and is like, oh, they got kidnapped. But he does like nothing with the bike. There's no action.
It's just very filler.
Yeah, it's like introduce the bike, that's cool, but also when you introduce the bike, do some cool shit with the bike to show off the bike, you know?
Right.
Make it worth its inclusion.
Oh.
So that was.
I'm excited to read it still, but it's interesting that it's a little bit of a bummer of an issue. Yeah,
it's like Harry Potter 7. Where it's right before the Deathly Hallows, and so it's just like filler, and it's good.
7 part 1, you mean?
No. I
mean Half-Blood Prince.
I meant
number 6.
I meant 6. Yeah, I meant Half-Blood Prince.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's my least favorite movie and book.
For good reason.
Yeah, it's more of like they didn't know what to do yet, and they wanted 7 books. But anyways, that's the bummer. I read only one. Actually, I read 2 things this past week. 2 things that were probably from 2 weeks ago, but again, we skipped last week's show. But I read the DC Halloween one-shot anthology thing called The Doomed and the Damned. And it's fun. It's definitely hit and miss. Some of them are kind of not as good, and some are so amazing. It's unbelievable. The 2 standouts for me are Aquaman and his son. Frankenstein is Aquaman's babysitter, which is really funny. And they go and they like try to stop this. They solve this mystery in like a couple pages. That one's fun. There's one with Superman where I really like the art. I don't remember the story, but I think he works with Swamp Thing. He does work with Swamp Thing. That one's really fun. It's uneven for sure. The opening with Man-Bat and Dr. Fate is entertaining. I'm a big Man-Bat fan. I'm all in on whenever we do campy Batman villains, and Man-Bat is insane. So, and he's part of Justice League Dark. Yeah, Killer Moth
representation.
It's true. But the best in Doomed and the Damned is like the least Halloween thing in it. But Darkseid has a drink off with another alien. I forget his name right now. So, because Darkseid says something on camera. He like calls humans or calls like these demon people like you people, and they're recording him. And they go, "What do you mean you people?" He's like, "I didn't mean it like that." And they like basically frame it that Darkseid's going to get canceled unless he has a drink off with this alien. And it's really, really funny, and maybe my favorite like short story comic I've read in like forever, because it's hilarious.
That's such a weird pitch. I can't believe it's
such a bizarre pitch, especially to be the closer in your Halloween anthology. It's pretty bizarre.
It sounds like one of those Snickers ads you find in the middle of comic issues.
Yeah, which there was one in the Superman issue I'm talking about in a minute with Shazam that I actually really liked. Yeah. But it's Doomed and the Damned's a lot of fun. I think you should read it. It's not obviously like high art story that's gonna like rock your world, but It's exactly what I thought it was going to be, which should be a fun collection of little Halloween one-offs with spooky characters, just to kind of be a fun thing to read. The cover of it's great. I wish I had it next to me, but it was fun. I would recommend it. It's not going to break new boundaries and all that, but it's a good time.
It's a Halloween title.
It's a Halloween title. It's a good time. Yeah. And it's pretty decently sized for as I think it's only like $8 and it's like 150 pages, so it's pretty affordable in terms of that. But the other one I read was, I believe, Superman number 26. This was the sequel to 25, which was kind of a double issue about this villain, Sinmar or Silvar, something like that. But I told you after I finished it that I think Bendis' Superman is like very solid. I know that it's people's main consensus on is that it's okay. It's entertaining enough, but I actually thought the last issue was quite good, and this little arc that they're doing right now is quite good. I think I've said this in the previous shows. I think he does a great job of writing Clark more than writing the action and the villain and stuff. Just the human moments. There's a scene of him in the Daily Planet, because in this current, if you're not reading the Superman title, his identity is out. The world knows he's Clark Kent. And there's a great scene where he's kind of walks to the Daily Planet in his Clark Kent stuff. And one of the guys is like, I don't even feel safe working here anymore. And Clark's like, why? He's like, because now they all know, basically referencing all the villains of the universe, that you're you. And he has a great response where he goes, well, I understand that, but to be completely honest, everyone already knew that everyone I cared about was here. And the Justice League built an entire wormhole around this building. So if anything came flying at it, it would get sucked into the Phantom Zone. And it's just a really nice moment. And there's a great tender scene between Clark and Lois, where he's very sweet and they kiss. And she goes, Kansas, you took my breath away. And I was like, I really like that line. He's really good at writing tender human moments. And it's very seldom you run across that with Superman.
I've been struggling to catch up with the Superman run.
Yeah.
I think that what I'm gonna do, I think I'm just gonna keep reading it where it is at the moment. And then I'll get to the back issues once I kind of get on the train of what's happening right now. I feel like I'll feel a lot more influence to go back and see what happened before.
What do you mean? Just jump into this current arc, the double
Yeah,
issue?
because at the moment I have a whole bunch of back issues I have to catch up on before I get there. And I basically have a volume's worth of Superman to read in order to catch up.
I would say you could just jump into 25. It's the start of a new arc. It wraps in 24. So
that's what I think I'm going to do. Yeah.
In 25, he meets Dr. Fate, which I talked about in a previous show. And it's another great introspective Clark moment where he's kind of using Dr. Fate as a therapist, just talking through his life. And it's just, Bendis writes a really great Clark. The action as Superman is it's fine.
That sounds great. It sounds very comic booky, which is exactly what I want from a Superman comic.
I'm enjoying that quite a bit. But do you have any other issues you wanted to talk about? That's the two I managed to get through this week.
Yeah, I read Excalibur and I read the new Daredevil.
That's right. We added Excalibur to our list. That'll be referenced from time to time. But talk about those.
I want to read back on Excalibur a little bit. I got to that on the first 2 pages of it. I was like, okay, I'm very lost and I don't know if I like this.
Yeah.
But then once I got beyond that point, I was like, I still had no idea really what was going on, but I got a very, I wouldn't even say Game of Thrones. I would say Fable. You're not Fable. What's that? That comic Saga.
Oh, yes,
right? I got a very Saga vibe from it, where it's space fantasy, sort of, right?
Saga's great. I read Saga for an English class, and I wrote an essay on Saga, the first volume of it.
And Excalibur just isn't what I expect it to be at all, but that's a good thing. It's about Captain Britain. You know Captain Britain? Have you heard of that character? I've read, he's been a side character in the 2008 run of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's my only real experience with him. Okay. He's just this dude who's literally he's got the Union Jack on his uniform and stuff. And in this section of the Marvel universe, some part of England is a gateway to this other realm. And so Captain Britain is sort of the protector of that portal between the two realms. And he kind of protects Earth from the otherworldly elements of that. But it's a lot of swords. It's a lot of medieval swords, and they all have these different properties. And it takes entire splash pages.
That makes sense. The title being Excalibur, which is obviously the famous sword.
It takes the time to explain the details of every sword, and as I think going on, it explains all of the weird continuity stuff that readers would not be able to latch onto. It does a good job to make it approachable, which is good.
Yeah, I think it's part of an ongoing crossover between all the X titles called X-Men of Swords. I noticed that the X-Men issue I just got this week, and I have a million hours of catch up to do on the X-Men run. But they
as always
are
with
like
X-Men.
building that up to it. Yeah, I just like that Crew ate the egg. I was into that. I think it's either Crew or Krug, but I'm a big fan of that character, and he should get his own solo title. He won't because he's nobody.
I gotta read this.
No. I said he should, but he won't.
Have you read more X-Men?
Yeah, I read the summary because I couldn't find 10 anywhere. So I read the summary of 10 and then I read 11.
Okay. So Krug is a cool character. Good. Okay.
He's only in 9 so far. They're kind of doing little like things, but I just really liked him in 9. He ate the egg, and I said I like this guy. Cool. And I want to read the back issues of that specific arc. But.
Yeah. To touch on Daredevil a little bit though. Chip Zdarsky again, who I'm a very adamant fan on. I never will betray Chip on this podcast. I love Chip Zdarsky's writing. Last issue had Iron Man in it. This issue has Spider-Man in it with Daredevil.
Okay, I'm excited to read that then. I really liked the crossover with Tony.
Yeah, he's on the cover, and also Chip Zdarsky wrote Spider-Man for about 2 years.
Interesting.
Like the ongoing series. And it has a lot of acclaim. He also wrote Spider-Man in his Howard the Duck title as well.
I love Howard the Duck.
He has a great grasp of the character. Also, Daredevil, he's been writing for a long time now. So he feels like a really seasoned Marvel writer, and I feel like he's going to be on that level of a Brian Michael Bendis. You know,
really?
He's a very seasoned career, but I feel like I know Bendis is famous for his Daredevil, I believe. I think I've read his Daredevil before.
Yeah.
For one of my classes. But yeah, Chip Zdarsky has a really great grasp of all the different characters. You know, I love his Star-Lord. He won an Eisner for his Howard the Duck run. So he's great at comedy stuff, but also it's solid. He's got the characterization down. We're still in the middle of that one arc that we didn't really see the beginning of it. But without giving too much away, it layers into that to the annual we read. You know, that really good annual that came out 2 times ago.
Yeah, about Mike Murdock.
Yeah, then the last issue we the last issue we read was with Iron Man.
Yes, we're writing Daredevil, everyone.
Yeah, the Iron Man issue was pretty good.
Yeah,
the one before that blew me away. The annual one with the Mike Murdock, I really like that one. So it seems like they're tying that together now. They're making that make sense in the universe, and I like the way they're doing that. I'm excited. I'm excited for this arc to be over and to start the next arc. Honestly, because I want to get in there from the ground level. But it's cool, and honestly, it makes me want to read some Chip Zdarsky backlog. So I'm probably going to order some Chip Zdarsky.
I'm ordering the backlog of Tinian's Batman, so we can be fully caught up on the arc before.
Let's do it from Barnes and Noble then. Let's get our.
Yeah, they have the collected there. It's just expensive, but maybe we can get a discount on it. But with that, I think we are out of time and out of topics. So thank you for listening to this episode of The New Adventures of K-Man and Spence. If you liked the show, you can check us out at anchor.fm/The New Adventures of K-Man and Spence. You can tell a friend about our show and help us grow our small community of comic readers. Again, thanks for listening, and K-Man and Spence will see you next week. Writing and producing for this episode of The New Adventures of K-Man and Spence was done by myself, Spencer Bennett, and my co-host, Kieran Collins. Editing was done by Spencer Bennett. Our logo was created by Spencer Bennett. Our music was composed by Brandon LaBelle. This show is a proud participant in the Deconstructed Podcast Network, which just relaunched Maybe You Should Care political discussion this past week and is still waiting on a date for the Disney Deconstructed 50th episode because of all of the terrible Disney news recently. But yeah, that'll be coming soon, and the link for the network is in the description. Again, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week with more comics news.